Fish freaks, welcome to episode number 91 of the Kayak Fishing Obsessed, a podcast, your ultimate source for all things kayak fishing. Seth, how you doing, brother?
Doing great, man. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. This show is brought to you by Kayak Bass Fishing. So if you haven't checked it out, I'm in the middle of the March monthly state challenge. And right now I'm getting my butt kicked by Howard Lyon, who has 100 inches on the board in Ohio. And I'm starting to think I probably shouldn't have signed up for March when there's still ice on the water, because it half the month was ice over and everyone down south is fishing. And I'm like, okay, knocking on the ice. Nonetheless,
that's crazy.
He's in 100 inches. Yeah, he's doing pretty good. 17s, 19, 19, 21, 21.75, which are up here in Ohio. Those are the upper echelon of juicy bass. But if you're not signed up for the monthly tournaments, the challenge series, recommend this. Head over to kayakbassfishing.com, go to the compete button, and it'll walk you through everything. I think last year I made around $1,100 on those monthly series. Yeah. That's and solid, so first place pays out, second place pays out pretty good, pretty close to first. So nonetheless, head over there, check that out. But tonight I got Fluke Doggy Dog on. 71 million views on YouTube alone. Gene, welcome to the show.
What is up?
How much, man? You were just like snuggled next to some rod holders right there. I'm a little jealous.
Yeah, these are usually my passengers. That's why I can't pick up any hitchhikers.
I'm so sorry. Got 19 rods. Can't help you out here. So you're on the road. You're just sitting in your truck. Do you just pull over for this, or you just get off the water?
I'm at a campsite. So I use an app called Hip Camp, which is like the Airbnb of private little campsites, and I'm on somebody's private property underneath their RV shelter where I'm camping this week. Cost me $17 a night.
You just changed my life, Gene.
Yeah, and it's got power, which usually you don't find power ones until you pay $20 to $25 a night.
But I'm sure you have some type of like battery plug-in thing, right?
Oh yeah, I got a generator if I need one. So
like a year.
Yeah, I didn't travel with it this time, but I usually bring it like down to Florida when I'm off the grid and everything, running around Florida, little lakes all over the place. I usually run my generator.
Hip Camp. Dude, I'm telling you, that everyone have a great night. That was worth it for me, just right there.
Dude, I saved so much money having a rooftop and hip camping. So
that's better than Cracker Barrel. I pull up to the Cracker Barrels and stay there for a night or two, but I don't have electricity, and it's usually in an area that you might get some visitors in the middle of the night. I'm not talking about animals either.
Got some lot lizards.
I'll sleep with my sidearm in some places, that's for sure.
I do. I got a rooftop tent, so I put it underneath my pillow, and then I hear noises outside. Peek my head right through the little. All right, we're okay. We're staying away.
What kind of rooftop do you have?
I have the iCamper.
Okay, right now I have an FSR Odyssey, and I'm about to get a what's it called, a Go Fast camper put on the back.
Okay. I haven't even seen those. I'm sure those are cool.
Those are nice. Yep, those are really nice. It's the camper shell and the tent all in one.
Ooh,
so you can get in the back of your truck and climb up into the tent from inside.
Yeah, that's nice, dude. That's actually really cool. Especially you can probably run the heat then in your truck.
Yep, you can run the heat, and then you can also stand up and change and do whatever you need. You got 8 foot of clearance in there, so
that's next level.
Yeah,
my wife and my 3 girls all go camping in ours. We're stacked in there like sardines.
Up in your top of your truck?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty big though. The iCampers flip out.
Yeah, those are really big. Those are
pretty big.
Yep.
I need to, if I'm going to do the hip camp thing, if I'm going to make a run at this bad boy, I need to get myself a rooftop camper. They're not cheap.
No, but they pay for themselves. I mean, if you spend enough nights in them, they really do. This one's 3 years old. I've been in it probably 225 nights. Multiply that by 100 and then subtract maybe, 75%.
You're making money.
I'm making
money. I mean, that's what I'm going to go tell my wife. Honey, I'm going to make some money. I need this.
That means you got to be gone a lot too.
She might like that.
Fishing.
She's like, I'm making money now. So, oh my gosh. So you're down in Lake Fork, getting ready to fish the Bassmaster kayak series.
Yep.
When's that Or did you just get there, or did you do pre-fishing?
No, I've been here since last Thursday or Wednesday. I think I got here Wednesday, fished a different lake on Thursday, and then pre-fishing started Friday.
Okay.
And then they just canceled the first day tomorrow because of high winds, and we're going to do an 11-hour derby on Thursday.
Oh, wow. I was just going to ask you about that. I was looking on my deep dive. I'm like, you get gusts of 28 miles an hour tomorrow. How's that going?
No, we're having gusts of 45 to 50.
Jeez.
About the time the tournament's over and people are on their way back to the ramps. And so, yeah, it was a good call from Steve Owens. I mean, we're not happy about it because we love to fish 2-day tournaments, but everybody's going to be safe. It'll be very, very light winds on Thursday, but it'll be a little bit chillier, but it shouldn't be too bad. It's going to be a good tournament. It's going to be some absolute giants caught.
So how does that change your strategy a bit? You're now 11-hour derby. Did you have a plan? Now it's like, okay.
Yeah, the only strategy is I'm one of the few people that regularly fishes 11 to 16 hours a day. And so it's a matter of staying focused for that amount of time. I get a little bit of extra caffeine on the kayak, a couple of extra snacks, and remind myself daily, all day long, stay focused, stay focused, stay focused. It's still 5 fish, but you can absolutely wreck some giants in that amount of time. So
you go out for 11, 16 hours when you go out?
Yeah. And that's been my weight loss plan, is go out with no food for 11 to 16 hours, then get home and eat 1 meal a day.
Sounds like you're like, I don't know what to say to that. That's wild. Holy crap. We got 32 comments in here. Seth, anything
sorry.
juicy? Are people just having conversations with one another?
Yeah, I haven't even clicked that tab over there. I haven't seen a single one.
So comfortability in your kayak for that long.
Yeah.
What's your go-to for like your seat? Because I imagine you're sitting the majority of that time. I'm sure you're also standing.
So I have kayak cushions.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm gonna be in the boat for that long, I have one that I got off of Amazon that's specifically for hip and back pain. Because if I'm sitting for that long, my hips and all the way down to my knees start to hurt after about 10 hours. 9 or 10 hours. And so I have this, and it looks like one of those dang what are they called, the donuts cushions for hemorrhoids. It looks like a hemorrhoid seat, but it's not. It's more of a U-shaped seat.
Whatever you say. Sure, it's not.
But it's like super thick, so I sit a little bit higher in the kayak, which is advantage. But dude, it is so comfortable, and it was not cheap. It's like a $75 cushion.
Oh wow.
But I love it just for long sits. I use it in my truck too when I'm driving, 12, 15 hours. So that's the biggest thing, is just being able to do that. Plus, just be comfortable, have a good seat. Those PWRs have, great seats. And
that's what you're fishing out of?
Yeah, a bona fide PWR. And so great high seats, and so it's real easy to stand up and sit down and stretch and pee off the side, and it's not a bad kayak.
You forget to turn the camera off when you pee, because I've gone through.
You just editing. Whoa!
I'm the one that edits, my son, so I'm sure that. I'm sure that I would hear it if he had to run into that. So
yeah. That's so funny.
I do that every once in a while. I'm like, edit like from video like a week ago. Like, oh, forgot about that.
That's exactly what I did the other day. Yep.
Oh my gosh. So good. So Seth is getting into Gene. Last time you were on the show, thanks for coming on again, by the way. I didn't have a co-host, and I got a co-host, Seth Taylor, down there in Florida.
Hold on, I'm Justin Lights. Here we go.
Oh wow. Yeah. And so little new flavor. Figured we'd round out the show a bit, get someone from down south, have someone up northeast. And so it's gonna be good. A couple things. I'm going to go tactical tonight. We're going to do a spring lure breakdown, best baits for donkeys. And Gene, I follow your channel. I love some of your shorts. And before we go there, though, I got something today I want to get your thoughts on, because this was interesting. Because earlier today, I got some news from Pelican. And so I figured this is kind of newsworthy. And it was interesting because I'll read. So I first heard about it when I was on the Bearded Paddler, and he was like, "Hey, what you guys hear about Pelican?" I'm like, then I was like, "Well, is it hearsay?" And then I saw in the comments, this is actually something Pelican put out. Seth, did you hear about this yet?
No.
Gene, I'm sure you have.
I've heard wind.
Okay, well, this is actually from Pelican, so this isn't like hearsay here. And so I guess it says, why has Pelican International filed a notice of intention to make a proposal, NOI, under Bankruptcy and Insolvency Act. And I was like, all right. And it just walks through. It says, like many businesses, we face challenges in the post-COVID economy, including rising costs, U.S. tariffs, supply chain disruptions, blah, 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 in the best interest of our employees, customers, and suppliers and creditors. We made a difficult but proactive decision to seek protection under BIA. So Pelican's a Canadian company, so that's why the BIA is the Bankruptcy and Insolvency Act. And so it said it was initiated by Pelican. It goes on to say, at this point, U.S. subsidiaries are not subject to proceedings under BIA. However, they're evaluating the possibility. It asked and answered the question, is the company going bankrupt? No, the company's not going bankrupt. This is not a closure. Essentially, this is a restructure. And it kind of goes through a few other questions. And then today, I've done some stuff with Wilderness, which is under Confluence. And earlier today, check this out. This is interesting. I get an email from Confluence Outdoor, said essentially they were reviewing and refining their affiliate program, and they're doing a temporary pause of the program. Then a few hours later, I was notified that I was completely removed from their program. So I guess temporary pause means something a little bit different in Canada than it means to you. It means to me. So this is interesting. So I guess we will see what happens. I thought that was just, I've been a part of it. I've done some reviews on their IATAK, and I guess there's some interesting shakeups happening with some of the larger legacy companies that are going around. So as soon as I know more, I'm not going to spend a ton of time there unless Seth, you have a thought on it, or Gene, you have a thought on it. But
go ahead, Gene. I don't have any thoughts on it. Nothing on that.
I mean, it just is what, yeah.
A lot of these companies after COVID assumed that their sales would stay up where they were. You know, the smartest person I've heard was Fletch at Westbrook Supply. He said, Gene, he said, sales are just back down to normal. I figured that was going to happen. Right. And so he went back to ordering as he needed and keeps a minimum stock, and then is willing to drive to whatever factory he needs to drive to go pick up boats. Luckily, Big Adventure molds 4 different brands of boats. And so he can make a run up to there, and it's only like 4 hours for him, and go pick up boats and come back and, sell the ones he has. And so that's what, and yeah, he's a paddle shop, but these paddle companies assumed that they were going to maintain that level of sales, and which was a very, very, wrong decision. And some of them.
That's a nice way to put it, Gene.
Yeah.
Wrong decision. So what I've heard is a lot of companies are just sitting on old stock, 2024 boats, and that they can't move. And so you probably see a lot of sales going on. Some boats that typically never running sales, significant sales, because there's a lot of old stock that hasn't been sold because of the over order. So interesting. So we'll stay on top of that. Let's move over to tactical. Tonight, we are going to be talking about spring lure breakdown. And so, Seth, I wanted to play a little game before Gene kind of breaks this down. I have one particular lure, Gene, that I know that you fish with, that I want. One of the reasons I wanted you on, because I want to learn from you on this particular one, because it's one of my unconfidence lures right now. But Seth, I want you to guess. I asked Gene to kind of bring some of the lures for spring, what's in his arsenal. I want you to guess 3 and see if they're one of his top 5.
Of his confidence lures or spring?
No, what got his spring. When I asked him, hey, spring lure breakdown, best baits for big bass, what do you think he's going to say?
He's a Flukemaster. I don't know. Would Fluke be?
Well, you almost have to. Right? You almost have to say Fluke.
So I don't know what Gene normally throws. So we'll do Fluke. If he's doing forward facing in the spring, I don't know if that's something he would put in there.
Nope.
Maybe. Okay, no.
I'm gonna do
not for forward facing.
I'm gonna do the bull shad trick shad.
Okay. I'm gonna do a chatterbait.
I'm gonna rock out for where he's at right now. I'm guessing he has an umbrella rig set up for
No, I do not throw umbrella rigs.
No.
Massive.
Look at that.
They put too many holes in my fish.
Okay. How about a medium crank?
Depends on the lake.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm gonna do I don't know if a fluke would be one or not. I don't normally throw too many flukes, so I'm gonna throw a fluke. I'm gonna say fluke, a chatterbait, and like a Texas rig. Something.
Okay. Did you say jerkbait?
Sure. What's that? No, I
Did you
didn't.
say jerkbait? I'm
We're
throwing jerkbait.
we're talking spring or pre-spawn, right?
Spring pre-spawn. Yep. I mean, for your neck of the woods. So, all right.
Past that.
Yeah, I know, right? We are getting ready to enter into it. So we're right in pre-spawn, right at the precipice of it up here in Northeast Ohio. All right. What did we get wrong, Gene?
I don't have one of them in the boat. It's in the truck. It's in my kayak. So spring, it all depends on what part of the pre-spawn and spawn you're in.
Ooh, break it down for us. Well, how do you visualize it?
So pre-spawn starts when your water temperature begins to warm, when your nighttime temperatures are warmer than your water temperature. Okay, in a 3 to 5 day period. Okay, and that your water will warm up and the fish will move shallow. And they do it really, really quick. Matter of fact, I've seen schools of giant females be the first thing to reach the back of the creek on the last bend before you get to a spawning flat. And they get there first. And I don't know why. I don't have any answers to that. I just know that there's several spots that I go to in the backs of creeks early in the spring when I'm still knocking ice off the guides, but I can still get the boat in the water.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm catching fish and big ones. So lipless crankbait.
What's your go-to lipless?
It just depends. If I'm yo-yoing it, I use a Strike King red eye shad or a Spro Aruku shad. If I'm just slow rolling it, I use a Bill Lewis rattle trap because it does not yo-yo. It always spins and gets caught up in its hooks. And then the old what do they call them? I can't remember what it's called. I got some old 20-year-old ones that I use when I'm burning it. Oh, and the Ruku shad burns really, really good. Never turns on its side or anything, stays straight.
Nice.
So those are the ones I use. Like it just depends on how I'm using it. In the springtime, I like to do a retrieve where I speed up and I stop it for a split second. It's like this. And I'm doing it as fast as I can with a 7:3-to-1 gear ratio reel, ripping it through the grass and fishing it really, really aggressive. And even in that cold water, as long as you're ripping it or bumping something, they're going to bite it. And so that's number one. Number two is going to be the trick shad.
There it is. I knew it. So that is the bull shad, right?
Yeah, this is the bull shad trick shad. This is the epoxy, the resin one. This is not the ABS one that just came out. I do have some of these, but you can see look at the semicircle hook marks on this one. I throw this one.
You've been working that one
a lot, and it's only 6 months old. So
you see that front hook, Aaron?
1 second. I'm bringing up the Buka swim baits. All right, front hook.
See the
yeah, I do. What do you got going on there?
That's lead wire, so I can work it fast.
Okay.
So it doesn't rise when I work it.
Now I've seen you actually saw one of your shorts.
It won't be on their website. There's a page for it, but they might even show it, but they only sell them when they do a drop, and they drop on Facebook and Instagram. So you got to follow
buy them on here. Sold out.
And you have about 2 hours to buy them, or they all sell out.
Yep.
Now they have this price point.
Yes.
Okay, because the first thing you said in that short video, you caught a donkey, and this was recently, and you're like, "Hey guys, I know they're expensive, but man, when you catch donkeys like this," and I don't remember if you said the pound or the length on it, but you're looking at a $130.
I mean, almost every fish over 22 inches I caught last year was on a trick shad.
Okay.
Minus probably 5, and that was probably a couple hundred over 22 inches last year. Mind you guys, people listening, I fish 275 days a year, so it's let's qualify that. I'm not jacking giants every time I go out, but this time of the year I am, though, because what happens this time of the year down south is gizzard shad. If you have gizzard shad in your lake, and you'd be surprised how far north gizzard shad are. They go
I got them in
shallow
Ohio.
really, really early, and those bass will push those schools up into 2-3 foot of water, and they'll satellite those schools. And if you can find that and recognize what's going on, pull off just a little bit outside those schools, and you can scope them and see these schools of giant bass following these gizzard shad or eating the ones that get away from the school. And you just throw a trick shad, and it's, I had people at a campsite. I went to a place I fish all the time. Most of you guys know what it's called, but anyway, a place I fish all the time. And the first day I caught some really big ones out in front of the campsite, and the second day the campers came down and set up their lawn chairs on the bank so they could watch me catch some more.
Oh, watch you?
Yeah, it was funny. Yes. I had a daggum had some spectators, but it catches big ones, and it really is. And I did a video with Austin Neary last winter or last spring, might have been last early spring, a long video, and that is what changed my mind on the trick shad and how to work it and stuff like that. And I do exactly what he taught in that video on my YouTube channel.
Okay, we're gonna take a deep dive. We're not, because this is one of the reasons I wanted to hear from you, since you do slay so many and so many donkeys. I wanted to walk us through, for those of us who are like, hey, I'm here right now, I want to hear right now, I want to go watch that video that's really long. Walk us through, how do you fish it?
A lot of people, like the way Austin fished it and the way that Buka fishes it and stuff like that, he uses his rod tip to work it like a jerk bait. So
sure.
It's the thing is, not all glide baits are made the same. You see the joint? Let me see if I can get in front of the camera. See the joint? See how it's flat? Yep. There's no V, there's no V in that. It's just a flat joint. That makes this a slash bait. It does not make it your typical slow. It'll still slow glide, but you can jerk it and it'll do this number. And it really you can get a lot better erratic reaction. So before you ever buy a swim bait, look at the shape of the joint, and it'll tell you what kind of a glide bait it is and what kind of an action.
You like the ones that are
I want
tighter.
The ones that can literally, you can just jerk the crap out of them and they just stay level, but they will go back and forth really fast.
So you don't like the ones that basically can turn on themselves because they have such a got it.
No.
Just haven't had luck with them, or just don't like them, or
no.
This
one just works, and why go to something else that doesn't? I've got confidence in this one. I've got no reason to pull any of the other ones out of my box. I've got them, but this one's legit. And there's others like that, other brands and other models, and I can't remember off the top of my head, or I'll list them out for you. But there's several out there that are really, really good. And but that's the biggest key is especially if you're scoping, you see them following the bait, and then you play keep away from them, and you jerk it away from them, and you keep them following, and all of a sudden it just loads up, and you just hold on.
Okay.
And so even through the summer, I'd see them on brush piles and do the same thing and just swim it barely past the brush pile, and they'd come out and hit it. So
nice. Got 60 live right now listening in. So please help me out. Hit that like button. We'll keep this party going. Get some distance after the fact. Sorry, Seth, I interrupted you here.
No, I interrupted you. So Darren asked me a question. I don't know if it was last week or a few weeks ago. What the percentage of fish that I do a lot of scoping as well, but the percentage of fish that chase your bait that actually commit. And I'm like, man, that's a hard question. And the way I answered it was, I think it's variable based on the size of the fish. I feel like the smaller fish, I mean, maybe not throwing glide baits and slash baits, but the smaller fish tend to commit at a higher percentage than the larger ones. But if you had to answer that question, Gene, how would you go about answering what percentage of fish chase and commit and don't commit?
All dang week here on Lake Fork. I mean, they would chase. I didn't care what it was, a jerkbait, a minnow, anything. They literally would nose up to it, act like they wanted to hit it, and then just follow behind it all the way to the boat.
Yeah.
And these were giant Lake Fork bass. I mean, so much so that I just packed it up and left and went somewhere else. I'm like, I am not, and you throw a jig in and they'd follow it from, they'd do 10 feet high, and they'd follow it all the way down to the bottom like they wanted it, and then stop and swim back up. And I was just like, oh, son. Let me tell you something. Forward-facing sonar, if it ruins the lake, that guy's got to be the best fisherman on the planet. Because I watch hundreds of fish react to my bait and not bite it to the one fish that I catch. So there is no way, as good as forward facing sonar is, that it's the reason you ruin a fishery. I mean, I'll take that one to the grave because I've been using it for 4 years, and I can flat out tell you that there's a small percentage of fish, and I consider myself a dang good fisherman, but a small percentage of fish that I can get to commit. Now the size fish have gotten bigger because I've been able to locate them and be able to not throw at the little ones and know where the big ones are, but still, it's ridiculous.
Do you notice, like Seth was talking about, you notice because we broke it down last week. We're like, okay, 1 to 2 pounders, you had to this percentage, 3 to 4, this percentage. Once it got 5, 6, 7 pound plus, it dropped down significantly. Do you notice the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, then again, it depends on the fishery and how much experience you have on it, stuff like that. Like my home lake, I know where the big ones live all the time, except for the winter time. That's when I struggle. But I can go at least run my milk run and hit all my 50 spots and find, a few big ones even in the heat of the summer. But yeah, the little ones on lakes that have a lot of little ones, you're going to catch them. You're going to get them to commit a whole lot faster and a whole lot sooner. And the cool thing is about forward facing sonars, you can tell the species of the fish by how they react to your bait. Crappie are the laziest stinking fish in the world. They'll follow it, but it's like you know they're crappie because first of all there'll be a bunch of them, but second of all they'll just kind of follow it, and they won't even get close enough to bite it. They just want to follow
like
it.
A mosey.
Yeah. and then bluegill will come right up to it and then swim away, and come right up to it and swim away. Bass, they commit. Even if they don't bite it, they'll come up, and you can tell after a while what a bass is. And that's what I spent the whole week doing this week, was trying to figure out where the bass were holding and seeing how they were committing to the bait I was throwing at them, whether they were shallow or deep or anywhere in between.
Yeah. So if you got a question for Gene, you're listening in, go and throw that in the comments. We'll circle back to it. I have one here from Steven Sturgeon. Does Gene use a scent to get those fish that follow to commit?
Not on hard baits, but on plastics I do. I use JJ's Magic. It's actually my oldest sponsor, but they sponsor me because I saved their company back during the Facebook days. So
JJ's Magic. So why that one out of all the ones out there outside of you've been with them?
I have tested it over and over and over again, and it has my hookup or my catching has increased. Catch has increased 6 times when I use
really
it. Yeah,
noticeable.
I was a spike it guy before I started using JJ's, and then I would test it out, and I did several tests, and I always caught 6 to 1 on spike it. JJ's to spike it. Then I tested it with some clients when I was guiding. Same thing. I tested it with a fisheries biologist, and I did it without him knowing. And same thing. He was trying to catch one with spike it, and I said, "Hey, you want me to fix your worm?" And I dipped it in JJ's, and he dropped it down and caught one. And he's like, "What's this crap?" I'm like, "Yeah, it smells bad, don't it?"
What is the flavor?
Garlic.
Garlic? Oh boy, yeah.
Yep.
Josh Latimer has the question. JJ's Magic, is that one of the powder style?
No.
Okay.
Nope. It is a dip. It's got the chemical that it's in is odorless. It's not spike it has what's that? It's a flammable. Acetone is acetone based.
Oh.
And JJ's is not. It is a different chemical, and so it's odorless. The problem is that it doesn't. When it changes temperature from low to high or high to low, it'll pressurize or depressurize, and so you've got to make sure you store it upright, or it will leak out just from pressure alone. You don't want it to get too hot, so you keep it in something and out of the sun. Is the biggest thing, and there's some challenges to it. And I've made videos about how to not have JJ's issues. But it's good stuff, though. Magic. It really is. It's not toxic or anything else. It just doesn't like temperature change.
Right. And so you use bait fuel, all these ones, and you JJ's by 6X.
Yeah.
So fascinating. So it makes sense now because, a lot of people who don't use FFS, you don't realize what you just talked about is these bass come right up on it, nose to it.
Yeah.
And you're leaving a scent trail.
Garlic is a known irritant to bass. And so I think it just pisses them off.
I'm going to eat you. You're making me so angry.
I don't know. I mean, that's just my experience watching them bite. I just think it pisses them off.
So before you found your glide bait for life, what did you use beforehand? Well,
I didn't.
I'm not putting mine up if I was catching what you're catching.
My history with Mike Buca, and to be all the way out there. So I met Mike Buca in 2001 at the Bassmaster, at Bass Pro Shops at their spring fishing classic. And I had seen him on forums and stuff online, so I knew kind of who he was. But we had a good chat. We became friends really, really quickly. And this was before he started making swim baits, back when he was still guiding on Lake Altoona. And, this is, 23 years ago.
Right.
And so fast forward 8 or 9 years, and he started messing around in the tackle underground forums and learning how to make different lures. And he got interested in making swim baits for the East Coast. So gizzard shad style swim baits.
Yeah.
And so he was learning how to make swim baits and doing experiments and things like that. Well, I'm an x-ray tech by trade. And he would mail me original Gary Ragos and all these California hard baits and things like that. And he wouldn't tell me how much they cost or anything else. And I would x-ray them and mail the x-rays and the baits back to him, because we lived on opposite sides of the state.
Right.
And he would, and that's how he learned how they were weighted and things like that. So he figured all this stuff out without cutting open, very rare and very hard to find swim baits. And so we did that for probably over, several times over a year and a half period. And so I got to be a witness. I've got some prototypes of several different swim baits that never came out. He's given me, I've got a box of Buca baits you've never seen and probably never will see. And so I've been able to really be a small part of that. So I'm loyal 100% with him. And so when people start to copy him and stuff like that, I get probably more pissed off than he does. Because I
part
was
of the origin story.
Hard. Yeah, I was, and I got to see how hard he worked at getting that and getting things right.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm definitely on his bandwagon just for years. And he's made mistakes over the years, and some of you guys know, some of the mistakes that he's made, and it's water under the bridge now. But it's But yeah, and then this is just the new iteration. And the smart thing he's done business wise is you can't find these in tackle shops. You have to get them either at his shop or when they drop them. So,
and you better be jotting me on the spot.
Marietta. Yeah, his shop is in Marietta, Georgia. It's gorgeous. Just drop in during the week and pick some up. They're right there. So,
good to know. Next time I'm in Marietta, Georgia, which who knows? Seth will probably be there more often than I would.
It's only an hour. It's only an hour and 20 minutes from Guntersville.
Well, I might be coming down to Guntersville here in
April.
Here in April.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Which job?
We're not going to get into that right now.
I'm running a tournament series that's in Guntersville in our next tournament in April. TKS.
Look at that segue.
Yeah,
we were going to talk about it tonight anyways. I wanted to hear about it. TKS.
Well, let's wait. We'll go to that in a second. Let's go to my next lure.
Ooh, I mean, I want to spend so much more time on the trick shad because
we got 6 hours. We're good. I don't have to fish tomorrow.
That's right. You don't need to go to bed early. You don't need anything.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew. We're good.
Yeah. All right, next lure.
The next one's real simple. It's going to be a jerkbait when the water temperature is 58 or below. I'm throwing a jerkbait.
Okay.
Once it gets up to where they're up solid pre-spawning and up shallow, I'm throwing a chatterbait or a spinnerbait. Mostly a chatterbait if there's grass, spinnerbait if there's not. So.
Well, Seth, I'm gonna let you go to town on this. You
and
love
no fluke.
The jerk.
No fluke. I just threw it in there just because you had it in your name.
The fluke comes out while they're actively spawning and when the males are guarding fry. That's when it starts to be the best. I won a tournament in Kentucky doing that, and the bass were guarding beds and guarding eggs and stuff. So
fry garters and all that.
Yeah.
So we had Seth on.
Go ahead, Darren. I'll take it. We had a full episode last week on jerkbaits. So what's your go-to jerkbait there, Gene?
The one that's working at a time.
Okay.
I have a box of about 50 of them, and I will go through them. Like this one right here. This is the 6 Sense one. I'm going to be doctoring this one up tomorrow to make it run the way I want it to run it for the tournament. I'm not going to say anything else. I use what are the expensive ones? The $25 ones.
One.
Yeah, the 110s.
110s.
The Vision 110s. I use 110s both deep and shallow. I use a sleeper that isn't made anymore is the 13 Fishing jerk bait. And I can't remember the name of it.
You have boxes when you were sponsored. I'm sure you got some left over.
That's the ones I wouldn't let my son sell. I mean, so yep. And those are really good. Those are really, really good jerk baits. There's a new one that I'm trying out. I tried out 2 weeks ago and did really good with a company called Rod Benders.
Rod Benders.
Yep. They're actually a couple of young guys that I met when they were painting baits in high school. And I actually did a video for them and helped them get rocking and rolling. And now it's a several $100,000 company.
Nice.
So,
is that rodbenderfishingco.com?
Yeah.
Is that it or different? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. They make they do a lot of crankbaits, jerk baits, and swim baits and stuff.
Yeah.
So
looking at them, they look nice.
Yeah, and so but those are mainly, and I got Strike Kings. I've got old Spros. It just depends. I just cycle through them until I find one that's running at the right depth and doing what I want it to do and what the bass want it to do.
Nice. I throw the Berkeley Stunner for the most part.
Oh yeah, I got a couple of those too. Yep.
Got the Mega Bass. I got a Mega Bass in my hand the other day, deep into a vein in my hand. That was a rough one to pull out.
Got some video on that.
But
that was in your video you posted.
I did post that one. Yep.
I had some company out of the blue mail me a tool to get hooks out of your skin.
Yeah.
Have you used it yet?
I saw that. I didn't see that they sent it to you, but what's it called? Oh man, they posted on my video too. De-hooker, yeah.
Yeah, the de-hooker. And I've never stuck myself with a hook. So
yeah, that was my first one.
I can't believe you said that. I can't believe you said that out loud. I can't believe it.
And
you're not fishing tomorrow, but you're gonna reach into your truck and you're gonna bury one of those suckers.
Yeah, I know it. I'm gonna bury a 2-aught treble hook as I'm trying to get it out of 10 pounder's mouth.
Oh my gosh. So Seth just recently started kicking off his YouTube. We did get you over 100, Seth, by the way.
I did, yeah.
You're like 120. Went from 70 to 120. So
I'll be passing you soon, Darren, and then right after that will be Gene. So
yeah.
At 120. I'm not going anywhere. I've been stuck at 480 or 470 for 470,000 for what, a year now. So,
but be completely honest with you, I was looking at your channel. You haven't been making videos on the regular, like once a month.
These tournaments, I'm torn. I love fishing them so much, and I get out here. Like tomorrow, I'll be able to film, and I've got one ready to launch. I got a couple of them ready to launch. I just haven't launched them. But I'll probably film tomorrow since they canceled the tournament. But I won't be able to get out on the water. But I don't know. Yeah.
I was wondering, did you reach the point of burnout, or did you just?
No, I just kind of decided that I wanted to see how good I was. Not to prove it to the world, but to prove to myself. And so I just started fishing tournaments and, entering the ones that some of the best kayak anglers in the country fish. And so I just wanted to prove to see what over all these years of studying and teaching what I've learned and stuff like that. I just wanted to see, and now it's more of a, I don't know, I guess an obsession. No, I wouldn't even call it an obsession. Just something I enjoy doing. It's me against the fish. It's not me against other competitors when I'm fishing a tournament. But I just wanted to see how good, want to see how good I am at figuring things out. Yeah. So
this week I'll answer that for you. Pretty good. Pretty darn good.
Yeah. Just got to figure it out.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love your perspective on it. Right. Because if you start looking, at everyone else.
I've always been, and if you've followed me long enough, I don't give a crap what people think about me. Never have. It does not bother me at all. It's when they start to attack me and attack my family and stuff like that. That's when I lose my mind. But other than that, it doesn't bother me at all. So
you're such like a calm, cool, collective guy. Why would it? I mean, I guess YouTube. Never mind. It's people doing people stuff.
YouTube.
Yeah.
That's for a whole different show.
Oh no, this show
back
now.
when I got started, it was the Wild West, and so there were some things behind the scenes going on that other well-known fishing YouTubers did to try to destroy other channels. So
no, we're not talking about that right now. I need to hear it. You can't drop that juice and not elaborate a little bit.
There were other. I'll just go ahead and just kind of without names. There were other YouTubers that were buying likes and follows and mainly views to trick the algorithms, and not just fishing YouTubers. There were also some very popular vlogging YouTubers from the other from other spaces that were doing it until YouTube got smart to it. And then they figured out how to catch people doing it. And then these fishing YouTubers turned around and started buying views for us, trying to get our channels shut down. And so, and then reporting us to our sponsors. And it was pretty shady,
bro. A dirty, it was a dirty business back then. How did you combat that?
I told the sponsors, I explained to them. I said, now you have known me for how long, and how important is my integrity? And they're like, yeah, you got a point. I said, well, and how do you think the integrity of these YouTubers are? Oh, yeah, you got a point. I said, okay. And I left it at that. So, and with YouTube, I just filed with my my affiliate company. And I said, look, this is what's going on. And they did a background investigation and found out, yep, that's exactly what happened. But there's no way to trace the money or anything else when they did that. There's absolutely no way to figure out where that money came from, or where what company was doing the likes and the views and things like that.
How long ago was this?
5 years, 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
It wasn't that long ago.
6 years ago, something like that.
Wow.
It was pre 9/11, or pre COVID.
Got it. Right before COVID. It'd be a year or two before COVID.
Yeah. When did that group get so popular? It was a year before that.
Well, now we know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Anyway, together. Yeah.
Well, we don't have to. We got people in the comment section.
Yeah, they already
which if you're listening in live, you're not going to be able to see it.
That's
Matt Koppel said it's when they changed the algo. So yeah, interesting.
I saw
Matt Koppel says, "Oh, I remember this stuff. Oh yeah, bringing it back for us." Southwest Indiana Outdoors, Chase. I hooked myself 4 times past the barb last year, bro.
Dude, you got to figure something out, because if it's
the barbs.
So I had one. I got hooked
wrong.
Yeah, I hooked once with a single hook. So I was fishing a wacky worm. I had this fish. I was just boat flipping it, and somehow it flipped between the water and me grabbing it, and threw that hook, and it went past the barb into my arm. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I got it on camera. This thing flops away, swims away. I was like, he left a hook in me. I was like, I probably deserve it for how many hooks I put into fish, but I couldn't get it out. I was really trying to wrench that thing. I was like, crap. So I got out my first aid kit, and I just taped the hook against my skin and fished the rest of the day, and had my wife rip it out when I got home. So the other one was a barb, and I forget, it went into my thumb or something. I actually pulled that out. It took a couple tugs, but I got that one. Then I got smarter.
Mine had the fish attached to it. I could not.
Oh, that's the worst.
Dude, yeah.
So this guy that hooked himself 3 times, I want to know, does he use a net?
4. Chase,
4
do
times.
you use a net, brother?
Do you use a net?
Chase, you have to answer us.
You better not be one of those cocky dudes that says, no, I don't never use a net.
That's this guy. I don't use a net.
I know, Chase.
I got a hook in my hand.
Okay.
It's for a different reason. It's for a different reason.
You're sitting in a kayak, and you're in, you catch a 3 or 4 pounder, and you drop it, and it falls in the middle of your legs, and you got these hooks right here flopping around between your thighs.
Yeah. You just see how wide of a split you can do. That's about it.
Can you imagine if it caught you and then it started thrashing?
I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's a bad
I mean, there's some piercings down there, but I don't want those. Man, oh man.
I just watched a video of someone, I think it was a pro. He somehow, it got his ear or his face. He caught his face and the bass was still attached to it.
That was, well, Brandon Powell had it on his face.
That's what it was. That's who it was.
On Okeechobee. But it didn't go past the boat. He got lucky. It didn't go past, because he went and scooped it up, and like it was a big one, and like bear hugged it, and the crankbait face. It didn't go in the barb. It didn't go
past the barb, because that would have been interesting. He was holding it like a phone. It's like, oh my gosh, this is wild. All right, got an answer. Haha, I use a net. So
that's impressive.
Now we have to know, Chase, how.
Now you got to figure out. You got
how.
You got to figure life out for a minute.
Here he said one was the worst was the Achilles heel.
Oh, yes, ow. Yep.
The fish was still on.
That's
I'll send you. He's gonna send you the video. I got to see that one. That's what you got to put on YouTube. That's what people really want to see. They don't want to see me catching fish. They want to see.
And I'm too deliberate. I don't have a lot of blooper videos because everything I do is pretty deliberate. The only ones are when I fall out of my kayak.
Those are the best. So. Can't wait. Oh gosh, here's one from the Classy Kayaker. There's a video of a girl kissing one, and it landed in her lip.
She kissed it with the bait.
I guess with it still in it. Oh my gosh,
that's risky business, man.
You know what I heard? This is
all for Instagram, man. All for Instagram.
Well, she got the views, I bet.
She got the views. Oh my gosh! By the way, your wife's videos. Seth, they like over a couple million, 3 million now.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's over 2 million now. Oh my gosh. My wife catching fish. Yeah,
you don't know if you saw this, or you might not have known it was Seth's wife, but she caught a 9.2.
Yeah, 9.2. Yep,
9.2. Got it on camera. Field and Streams pushing this thing. People are reaching out to him, be like, "Hey, can we use this video?" And so took it to the moon.
It's about 2 million more views than any of my videos ever got.
Meanwhile,
if I 130 subscribers. It would be viral for a wrong reason.
Yeah.
I got no patience with my wife when we go fishing. So.
I had it once where I was pulling. I think I got my hook stuck in a tree, and I was fluorocarbon, and I was pulling it, and it snapped back, and I had the line mark, the whiplash, where it was like circling around. I was like, "Whoa, don't want to do that again." That wasn't feeling good. Oh, there we go. Colin Gordon said it was Brandon. Took a hook to the lip on the Big O last tournament. He was hugging the fish, and a hook came up and mask and got him in the lip. Ouch. Ouch. All right, we're moving on. We're going tactical.
We get Gene's last bait, his third bait yet?
Yeah, we're like moving through. I think we're on like 2.
Chatterbait and jerkbait.
Okay.
Yep.
We took the deep dive.
Gotcha.
Really quick.
Yep.
You pulled up that jerkbait, and I wanted to buy it immediately because on the show, I'm telling people anytime I see any type of hologram that I want to buy it. Let me see that thing. There it is. That's the juice. Now, that's the 6th Sense.
I've got an old bull shad, original bull shad that's painted by Dwayne Beatty, who doesn't paint baits anymore, but he was one of the original custom bait painters. And he actually designs all of the catch trophies. Same guy, Dwayne Beatty. So I'm a huge Dwayne Beatty fan from back in the day. This was 20 years ago. And I've got an original, or 15 years ago, I got an original bull shad that has those hologram. He individually stuck every one of the stickers on it before he painted it. Yep. And I still use it, but yeah, I'm pretty proud of that thing.
So there's a billion bladed jigs out there, and I'm sure you use different types, different brands, different blade sizes for different scenarios. So break down what goes in your mind. What are you pulling out through the year? What are you putting away? Because I know a lot of people who struggle with the bladed jig, and I know a lot of people who are like, I love it to the moon, and it's a confidence lure of mine. And so what would you say to those who are like, hey, this is an unconfidence. I throw it, but don't have success with it. That was like 17 questions in one. I'm passing it off to you, Gene.
Well, let's just talk about bladed jigs. Let's talk about chatterbaits. So shameless plug, chatterbait or Z-Man will be launching a new jackhammer at the Bassmasters Classic. I got 3 of them in my boat. They're mini hammers, or I can't really call them mini jacks, or baby jacks. And they're a smaller jackhammer chatterbait. So and they're only going to be available at the Classic Expo, and then again it's sent out to retailers in a month. All right. Okay. So, go if you're struggling with a chatterbait. There's a few things you've got to understand. Your chatterbait needs to be hitting something. Unfortunately, it does a horrible job of coming through wood, especially small sticks and brush piles and things like that. So avoid it at all costs, unless you're throwing a, what's the Berkeley one?
Slobber knocker.
The slobber knocker comes through wood really well, and comes through lily pads and stuff like that. Things the jackhammer won't come through. But you'll still catch more fish on the jackhammer. So it's got to be hitting something, be either ticking the grass, being ripped out of the grass. When there is no grass, my trick is to let it sink all the way to the bottom. 3 or 4 turns of the handle to get your line to straighten up, and let it sink back down to the bottom on a tight line. And then slowly start reeling it. And what you want to feel is the blade moving, but you want to be able to slow down a little bit and feel it hit the bottom as you're reeling it. So you want to be just barely off the bottom, slow rolling it as slow as you can, and still feel that blade. And it's just kicking up silt with the wash off the bait. It's kicking up the silt off the bottom, and the bass will come down and they'll pin it to the ground. And it is probably the best way that I know of to fish it when you don't have anything to hit but the bottom.
Okay.
And I've caught, I don't know how many, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them doing that.
Kind of juicy nuggets there.
With
Good
grass, like on Gunnersville, I guide on Gunnersville and stuff like that. With grass and stuff like that, it's all about hitting the clumps of grass. You go and you find the areas that have clumpy grass in specific depths, depending on whatever depth the bait are in. And if you see the bait in the grass with your forward facing sonar or your side scan, it doesn't really matter. And then your trick is to hit that grass and rip it up out of that grass. And you're doing 2 things. You're spooking the bluegill and all the bait fish out of that grass, and it causes the bass to want to feed. So the knucklehead tournament, not the last one, but the one before that.
Yeah.
We were all catching them, or most of us were catching them, trolling a chatterbait behind the boat at 3.5 or 3.2 miles an hour, running through these grass clumps with our trolling motor or with our kayak, spooking the bluegill out of the clumps of grass. And by the time the chatterbait got to the clumps of grass, the bass would already be feeding, and they'd hit your chatterbait.
So you're using your motor to kick up the bluegill,
and
then running through the slowest. All right.
Yeah.
Look at you.
It's like airboat channels here in Florida.
Right. And another key thing about a chatterbait is the trailer. And I did a video last year about different trailers and what they do, the different actions that they cause a chatterbait to do. If you're burning a chatterbait through the grass and you want it to do this number, you use certain types of trailers. If you want to be able to slow roll it and it still hunt, as they call it, scatter, just a simple fluke, not a super fluke, but it's called the fluke. And it has no slot or anything else. Use that as a trailer, and it causes your chatterbait to dart at slower speeds.
So what was the first one? You didn't mention the type of trailer. You said
there's 3 or 4 different types. Paddle tails that have the tail turned upside down. Blade minnows that have that are flat sided. They'll do it a little bit better. All depends on the size of the shape of the body of the trailer and the tail on what action you're going to get out of what. So.
All right. I have a buddy right now just north of me up in Cleveland, and he's like, bro, I just caught 15 on a big blade, red chatterbait, red chatter spike. And he's like, 15 up here for right now is pretty darn good. It's like, oh man, I don't even have a big blade. I need to go find myself one.
But, yeah, that's a slow rolling one. The new tungsten Evo from Z-Man.
Yep, got a couple of those.
You can burn it and it doesn't roll. Which is nice. So if you got
it's cost effective. That's a cheaper, nicer chatterbait.
Yeah, and it's not like molded tungsten. It's compressed tungsten. So they can't mold it because they'll damage the hook. And so instead they have this super powerful thing that squeezes the tungsten powder into the head. And so
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to colors, do you have what goes through your mind when I say, hey, colors and bladed jigs?
Grass with a little bit of stain, you go with Be Height Delight, which is the green pumpkin, chartreuse, and white.
Okay.
Early spring, red, but I don't typically throw a red. I'll throw the Be Height Delight because I'm trying to mimic a bluegill. And then the matching trailer would be their Hot Snakes trailers for that one. A little bit more stain to the water, maybe a 2-foot visibility and less. I'm throwing the Bruised Pumpkin, which is the black and blue and green pumpkin.
Bruised pumpkin. What colors are these? Z-Man colors?
It's mostly Z-Man colors. I throw only Z-Mans. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm good friends with them, but I have so much confidence in their action and being able to start up quickly and vibrate quickly and stuff like that. I don't play around with hardly any other ones, so I'm pretty biased. I've bought most of my jackhammers, all but just the ones they've sent me that are like new colors and new models and that kind of stuff. And they usually only send me 3 or 4 of those, so it's not like it's a huge thing.
Are you sponsored by a competing company?
No. No, I'm not sponsored by any lure companies. I'm friends with a lot of different lure companies, like Missile Baits. They send me a lot of their new stuff, and I'll make videos for them. And that's kind of something I started this last year, where I just want to help them launch new baits. And so that's just kind of what I do. So
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Darren.
No, I can hold my question.
I was thinking about that, like the sponsorship of baits, like bait companies, and like tournament angling. Like I don't feel like there's one company. 6th Sense makes a lot of different baits, but I don't know if there's one company that makes like all the baits that I would ever throw. Like there's just, I like certain specific baits within different companies. And then if you get on with one company, you're kind of stuck with their style or version of whatever bait you want to throw, and it might not be your favorite.
Yep, and you shoot yourself in the foot by being exclusive. And that's why I'm not with a big tackle company. I haven't even, I've thought about and entertained talking to like Berkeley or Pure Fishing and that kind of stuff, but I don't want to be pinned down to one company, because I want to be able to talk about and be honest about anything and everything that I do. And that's what I love about Missile Baits. That's what I love about Z-Man. The guys that have known me for a long time. And when I say a long time, John, the owner of Missile Baits, John Cruz.
John Cruz.
Him and I were talking about YouTube the year that I started it, and I said, and we were in a bus together on the way to the ramp for the Bassmasters Classic, the last day of practice, and I had press passes, and we were on the way, and I said, dude, this YouTube thing's going to be big. I said, I started a channel about a year ago. It's just getting kicked off, and we just small talk, and him and I both still remember that day. And stuff like that. So that's how, these guys have known me for a long time, and they know they don't mind me being honest, because they know they make a good product, and I'm going to tell them whether I like it or not, and I'll tell everybody that. So
no, I like it.
I love the Baby Destroyer. That's like my go-to creature bait. I love that.
I'm a D-bomb.
D-bomb
guy.
Yep.
So you get how many companies reach out to you or like, hey, you want to try this bait? Hey, you want to try this bait? Hey, you want to try this bait?
Oh, a lot. A lot of them. The funny thing is the ones that I really just get really irritated with are the ones that are using the like jig companies that are using do-it molds to make their stuff, and I'm like, that's a do-it mold. That's what's new. There's nothing new about that thing. You got different colors. That's cool. Oh, you use mustad hooks. Okay, that's cool too. But I want to see something different. Don't want to see something that every other garage tackle manufacturer is making. Do something different.
Dude, I'm telling you, there's a lot of them, and I mean, I'm not trying to downplay you trying to start a business out of your garage, but man, I feel like
but do something different. Don't go and buy 3 or 4 do-it molds and start your own jig company.
It's not going to work.
Nope, you can buy a blank do-it mold and go for a couple $100, pay somebody to CNC the mold for you.
Yep. Yep. No, I remember looking into some of that mold stuff. You're looking at $1,000 to get your custom mold, maybe more depending on how big it is.
Yeah, and you can
how
do it
many
with those
cavities you got. Yeah, 100%. Interesting, Seth, and anybody else listening in. You got questions for Gene? Let's hear them. I'm going to circle back while those questions are coming in. Walk me through kind of your setup for this trick shad. I'm going back to trick shad land.
Okay.
I have one.
I got it. Let me break out my
Line,
flashlight.
rod,
I got to look
all
at
that jazz.
I got to look at the rod. Now I'm sponsored by Cast King, but this is not a Cast King rod. So I'm fishing.
You were sponsored by Cast King until that comes.
No, they know. They don't make a swim bait rod. So I use an MB, which is a Mike Buca 8350 835 SB. So it's 8 foot 3 inch, five power swim bait rod. So it's a medium heavy fast action rated for 1 to 5 ounces.
Yeah.
And I use a Cast King Mega Jaws 7:3-to-1 gear ratio reel, which I've had on there since the beginning. So it's not a brand new reel. I've been beating the crap out of it for over a year, and it's still holding strong. And then 22-pound Seaguar Tatsu.
Yep,
is my line.
I don't use, you got the juice.
I don't use braid. I use fluorocarbon. Braid, because it has no stretch. If you ever backlash it on a nice long hard cast, your bait's going to keep going, and the braid, no matter how strong it is going to snap. And so there's a $165 bull shad somewhere in the bottom of Gunnersville. Been there for about 4 years.
Oh. My buddy lost I think it was $1,000 combo at a lake near us. Fell down in the grass. Like, oh, it's painful. Like, let me know where it's at. I'll go swim for it. $1,000? Come on, I'll at least go goof around. Yeah, but with the carbon, you get the stretch that you need to be able to absorb a backlash, and that's huge. I like it.
There's some throwing those big baits. I love it, because if there's a fish that's not like not too interested in a jerk bait or a minnow, or you throw one of those big glide baits or just a big bait in general, dude, they love that thing. They will just, not that they'll commit to it, but they'll show a lot of attention.
Big baits have drawing power. So if you're ever pre-fishing, and one of the best ways to see if you've got big fish in the area is to throw a big, huge swim bait, be it a soft plastic one or a glide, but it draws them out of cover and gets them to follow you. And if you really pay attention to what's following your bait when you get back to the boat, you'll be able to see that there's big fish in that area, and that's someplace you really want to focus on when it comes tournament day.
And that's how you catch a double digit in practice.
Yes.
So good. Got some comments over here. Michael Bradley, Copper State Tackle has some exclusive missile colors. Now that's out in Arizona, right? Phoenix area? Is that Copper State? I was just out there fishing Saguaro Lake.
And that's something I just learned, is that they do custom colors for certain shops. Bridge Masters down in Florida that I go to every year had some. I looked at the color. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not a normal missile color. He's like, nope, that's the Bridgemaster color. He was real proud of it.
All right. I love it. Tatsu is bougie, says Michael Bradley. Just top of the line, man.
I'm throwing 100. How much is a bull shad retail? 100 and what?
120 plus tax.
Yeah, 120 plus. Okay.
130.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be bougie. And yes, I don't have to pay for my bull shads, but I still got to listen to Mike Buca every time I go pick one up because I lost it.
You got to get a lecture.
We've been friends for 23 years. 25 years now. So 24 years. But yeah,
at least an hour lecture on losing it.
I'd almost rather buy it than have to listen to Mike Buca.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so good. Yeah,
I got great friends.
Colin said Copper State Tackles in Chandler. So I was out there and I saw this giant. I was fishing from the bank and this boat came up and it said Copper State Tackle on it, and these guys were throwing giant swim baits. I had a little conversation with them, and then I keep hearing the name Copper State. And so I looked it up. Like, oh crap, it is there. I was like, interesting. Popular. More. I'm hearing about it over here in Ohio. So interesting. All right. We're going to finish off our time together. 1 hour and 7. We were pushing 70 live. So if you haven't done so, please hit that like button. We'll get some juice. It helps the video get a little bit more yardage when it's all said and done. So helpful there. Or last time, Gene, see what I did to our last podcast episode?
No. Mm-mm.
I took it. I then deleted the podcast. I created a video, put an AI thumbnail on it, and it went to 10,000 views on a long form. And so
I did a real cheesy AI for my March.
I saw it. March
video.
Lures. I was like, I know where you created it. I know ChatGPT was the one you created it on.
Yes,
I know how they tuned it up.
I was crunched for time and doing this pre-fish, and I was like, crap, I gotta do something. I said, well, let's
It
just
still
try
worked
this
for
and
you.
See what stupid comments I get. And I haven't even looked at the comments yet. So I
go check those out.
You know, it's funny. If you don't get it right, you only get 3 tries a day.
Yeah, you only get 3 tries. Yeah.
No, so if you don't, and it usually takes you 1 or 2 tries to dial in to tell you what you want, and so you're really stuck with the third one they give you. You just never know what you're gonna get. So fun time. I've been seeing that more and more in a lot of thumbnails. Individuals, I think Red just used one for Gatlinburg, using AI.
Our TKS logo was ChatGPT.
Was it for real?
It not 100%, but we took
to go clean it up
and sent it to Michael's graphic artist, and he cleaned it up and made it look really nice. But it kind of gave him an idea of what we were looking for and that kind of stuff. So
I like it. So speaking of, we're gonna land this plane because it's dark out. You're sitting in your truck. You've been sitting.
I don't care.
You're good. You can sit for 16 hours.
Like I said, I don't have to sleep. I don't have to fish tomorrow.
Yeah, no, that's good. I want to hear. The last time I had you on, you were getting ready to do TKS. It's TKS, right? I'm saying that right?
Yeah, TKS, Team Kayak Series.
Yep, Team Kayak Series. And I've since heard a lot of one of my buddies over here in the comment section. Let me see. Phil McCurry, he called me up after doing that. I was like, bro, this is something. Like, I really, really like this. I think this is gonna go. And so, I mean, he was jacked, Gene. I mean, jacked.
Awesome. That's so good to hear, dude. I just don't even know. That's just freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was catching them either. I think he was just enjoying it.
Yeah. He just loved the setup. So let's just pretend no one has any clue what Team Kayak Series is. Walk us through why, right?
So
I know you do it with Musgroves, and then tell us how it's been going.
So I used to fish buddy pot tournaments back home on Jackson Lake and Lake Oconee and Clark's Hill with my 2 or 3 different fishing partners. And this was back early, long before YouTube. And I just enjoyed fishing with a buddy. I hate, one person be up in the front of the boat fishing what's working, and the guy in the back, which was usually me, I was experimenting, trying to figure out what would work better. And just a team series or a team, a team concept. And I was like, man, kayaking doesn't have that. So what can we do? And I just kind of had it in my head for a couple of years, working close together with Chad and doing, it was kind of the knucklehead thing that was like, man, I really like team stuff. That kind of was the lit the fire to the gas. And so I went to Michael, and he said, yeah, let's do it. And we put together and decided, looking at a bunch of different options and things like that. To put it all in a nutshell, Team Kayak Series is a place where you and a buddy can get to, you can fish as a team for a 2-day tournament. And we have some of the premier fishing lakes at the premier times of the year, because luckily I'd get to travel a lot and learn a lot of this about places to fish. And we get to really, really just, you get to get together with your buddy, and you form a huge friendship, because you're traveling together, sharing costs, you're sharing Airbnbs, your tactics have to work together well, and stuff like that. And it's just a really cool thing. We have a advisory board of anglers that keep us straight, that I don't have anything to do with. Literally, I gave it to Jody Queen and said, just, we're going to send some questions your way. We want to know how you guys as anglers feel. And then we get a feedback from them, and they helped us to develop a lot of this. And so I feel like I did it the right way to just get it started and make sure I kept the anglers at the forefront. It's 100% payout. I don't expect to make any money doing this. I just want to break even. So municipalities will every couple, 2 or 3 of them this year. It's like I think we have 3 of them that are actually sending us a check, and that'll take care of a lot of the costs, the underlying costs of running a tournament. Everything's up front. The cost and for you guys is up front and everything else. And then one of the cool things, and I'll talk about this last tournament, is I don't believe in DQing people unless they blatantly cheat.
Okay.
You know, there's got to be a daggum good reason why I have to DQ you. And then I'm going to blast you out on social media and make sure everybody and their brother's mother knows that you're a freaking cheater. But if you screw up and you let me know that you screwed up, we're going to have a little bit of fun with your punishment, but we're not going to DQ you. And so we got we had a team self-report. They had not read the rules thoroughly, and they at the last minute had a buddy decide that wanted to come fishing with them, but not fish in the tournament. And we have a rule that you can't pre-fish with non-competitors. You get help from them and that kind of stuff. It's all about the help thing. And so they self-reported before the tournament started. And so we gave them, instead of DQing them and sending them back to their home state after spending, I don't know how, $1,000 or $2,000 on the trip for themselves, we just said, okay, you guys are off the water for the first 4 hours of the tournament. And once an hour, we want a creative selfie of you somewhere in your Airbnb or somewhere off the water that kayak's still on the trailer, that kind of stuff. And then you have to submit it to TourneyX so we have your location data and that kind of stuff. So it was funny, the pictures we'd get, and them eating breakfast and all this other stuff, and the cool thing is that our limits, we have a 10 fish limit over a 2-day period, and you can catch those 10 fish the first day or the second day or a combination of the two. And so you can zero the first day and still catch 10 fish the second day, and they all count. So these guys just lost 4 hours of fishing is all they lost.
How did they do?
I don't know. I can't remember.
4 hours, tough to recover from that. At least you're still
I was
part
so
of
busy. I was judging fish the whole time, so I wasn't really paying attention to.
Yeah, because I'm sure you're probably holed up in the Airbnb just judging fish all day.
Yeah, I was sitting in a hotel room, just bored off my gourd, checking.
Wishing you were out there.
Yeah, wishing I was out there So I get to go to these lakes and sit in a hotel room and watch everybody else's fish they catch. Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Are you second guessing your decision to kick off the team kayak series? You want to pass this thing off as fast as possible?
No. So like the Susky tournament that we got the end of the season is I'm going to be fishing Drew Gregory's tournament the week before on the Susky, and then doing ours. So that's our. Yep. And so we got Lake
fishing.
We just did Lake Murray. Lake Gunnersville is coming up here really shortly. And it is the peak time of the year to fish Gunnersville. Kentucky Lake, the Nickajack, which is on fire the last 2 years has been on fire, and then the Susky, and that's our season. And then championship series, the championships on Santee Cooper. In order to qualify for the championship, you just have to fish three of the events. So you got to earn it. We'll eventually have a point system that doesn't just go towards team of the year, but goes towards qualifying for the championship. But that's not going to be anytime soon. So, then our hope is to grow it to the point where we have 2 or 3 different divisions. So like 5 tournaments for the Southern Division, and 5 tournaments for the Northeastern Division and the Central Division, and that kind of stuff. So. We're still building it out.
There's not coming soon. Nothing.
We're still building it out. Stop.
Like, man, you need to fix your Wi-Fi.
I was like, what's going on with my computer?
Nothing. So that's all Michael. He's the computer nerd, so he's building that stuff out.
No, it's all good. So question for you, Gene. When you open this up and you create a feedback loop with anglers and individuals you trust, what is and you've been doing tournaments for a long time, what is maybe something that caught you off guard that was surprising to you with some of your feedback loops that you have?
Nothing really. Nothing. Really? I mean, because I spent so much time working with Chad. Sure. And talking to Steve-O and talking to people who run tournaments and things like that. And just, I'm a people watcher anyway. And I tend to tuck all that stuff away in the back of my head. The biggest thing is that kept that from happening was our advisory board. So and the other thing is that the communication between me and Steve-O and the people that are running major tournaments right now is we're communicating with. We already are talking about next year's schedule, so we have everything working together. And so people who want to fish every tournament possible can fish every tournament possible. And so that's one of the things we're working on with them. But it's the biggest thing was just the amount of work it is behind the scenes. I guess is the only thing that I didn't quite understand.
Tell me a little bit about it. The joys of being a tournament director.
Michael and I talk on a daily basis.
Okay.
For at least an hour on what's on not changes, because that's another one of the things I said we would never do is change during the season. Once the season starts, once the rules are there, we're not changing. The last change that we made is we made it to where there was no longer any off limits. That was just too much of a hassle to worry about. Especially, it would keep people from fishing other events.
So
and I didn't want to do that.
What are some of your unique rules that are different than a lot of other tournaments?
All of them. We basically took Bassmaster's rules,
okay,
and adjusted them for team series. So you can communicate between team members.
Yeah.
You don't have to fish together. You can fish opposite sides of the lake. Just stuff like that. I mean, we want to make get to the point where kayak tournaments are very have a low level of confusion. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Once you fish one, it's real easy to fish the other series or a different series because the rules are very, very similar, to where there's not a lot of confusion. And so when it comes to rule changes and stuff like that, I guarantee that we've already talked to the other people before we do that, or even vice versa. They talk to us. So that's what's cool is we're all friends. It's no competing factor between us. Being Bassmaster Team Kayak Series and Drew's Kayak Adventure Series. Yes. And then if Chad ever gets back into doing trails and stuff like that, he'll be in that group too. So,
all right.
Yeah, the team aspect is really cool. I only ever fished one, and it was actually with Darren on the Knucklehead. I mean the camaraderie that you build over the course of those days while you're there practicing and for the event, and then sharing information, like sharing all your information, not just like, yeah, they're doing this, just like giving your spots, giving what you're doing. That was really cool. I've never experienced that because, I mean, you have friends within different trails that you'll lead them on to what you're doing, but you don't give them the coordinates, like, hey, come over here, sit next to me. Let's cast on this, Yeah. And then over the course of 4 days, it was cool, man.
Did you see who our second place team was for Murray? It was a father-daughter.
I heard about this.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's really. I mean,
she caught a big one too. I mean, it wasn't like he caught them all; she was catching them too. I mean, and now she's hooked, dude. She is freaking hooked. She did it just to do it with her dad, but the coolest story that came out of Murray was there was a guy that came up to us at registration, and he's like, "Thank you so much for doing this." He goes, you guys announced this is my home lake, and I called my brother who I haven't talked to in 10 years and invited him to be on my team, and he literally saw his brother for the first time in 10 years at the captain's meeting, at registration at the captain's meeting. Yep.
I got the goosebumps on that one.
Gosh, you ain't kidding.
My goodness. I mean, I want to know more.
Yeah. Yep.
Gosh,
and I get
10
that
years.
because I have brothers I haven't seen in a long. I'm from 7th of 8 kids, and so I have brothers and sisters I haven't seen in a long time either because we're all over the place. So.
Yeah. Huh? But you said haven't seen or haven't talked to.
I've talked to them, but I'm
talking about the story.
Oh no, he hadn't seen or talked to his brother in 10 years.
Okay. Fishing, bringing families back together, right there.
Yeah, that was freaking.
That's wild.
That was.
I wish they would have taken the W. That was even better.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Question from Bass Raft. Gene, what should I do to help try to get a national tournament come to my hometown? Talking to the local chapter of Chamber of Commerce. What?
So we're working with a town right now in South Carolina who basically was talking to a buddy who's a fisherman and lives in that town, and was talking about the need of a kayak tournament. And he's like, wait a minute, I know a guy. And so he calls me, and we get together. And basically just the tourism bureau, or whoever's in charge of tourism for the city needs to reach out to us. We're actually going to Iowa, me and Michael, for like a 3-day, I don't know what they're calling, a symposium or whatever. I don't know what fancy word is. But anyway, where we meet with all of these, we get meetings with all of these municipalities, and work this out. But literally just a phone call or an email. And it's not, it's not super expensive for the municipalities. That's getting into a whole different world, but they have a budget for this, and they pay a certain amount of money to get us to get us there. And it helps us with our costs, which is where my wife stays happy about me doing this, is being able to, have my hotel taken care of, and being able to take care of my gas, and not any money coming out of my bank account, which my wife takes care of. So,
okay, so they have budgets every year. Every municipality is going to be different. Yeah. They're trying to bring tourism, trying to bring people in to stay at the hotels.
Well, and first and foremost, you've got to have a good lake, or at least you can't be a county or a city that doesn't have good fishing, because it's not going to draw the crowd.
Right. So not coming to Ohio anytime soon is what you just told me, Gene?
Not coming to Illinois anytime soon.
All right. All right. Come on over.
Or
that's Iowa, the issue. A lot of this. Yeah. You're going to Iowa.
I'm going to Iowa for a symposium. I'm not going fishing because I don't know.
Oh, got it. People are coming in from different, these aren't municipalities in Iowa. They're coming from all over the country.
It's like it's like a meet and greet for those that part of the business. So
you can come out we can do Lake Erie, get out there and go smallmouth fishing.
I've done it. That's where my PB came from.
Come on,
to Florida.
Oh, really? Your PB came from Lake Erie?
Yeah.
Tell me a story, Gene.
7-9.
Tell me a story.
I used to go, and I probably still could, but I haven't gone in it for several years. Go to a media event in Buffalo, New York.
Yep.
And there'd be a bunch of guides and a bunch of content creators, mostly writers. They call it a writers conference, is what they called it, because they've been doing those for 100 years. And they take us out in a boat. Well, I went out with oh my gosh, why am I forgetting his name? Because it's late. Anyway, I went out with a guy that has a TV show, and his name's on the tip of my tongue. And we were dragging tubes in 24 feet of water over this little hump out in the middle of Erie, and whacking them. And I caught a 7.9, so it's almost an 8-pounder. On his little saltwater scale. I said little, but it is a big saltwater scale. But giant smallmouth dragging a dang Strike King coffee tube.
That's crazy.
Yep.
So good. Sly Fox Fishing says Mosquito Lake in Northeast Ohio is known. That is kind of the lake around here. A lot of tournaments on, a lot of bass. It's about an hour away from me. Seth had actually won 3rd place or something on the tournament back in the day. And
long time ago, yeah. The only time I fished randomly.
Mosquito, it's a big lake. They got a lot of underwater bridges and stuff like that. It's pretty sweet.
So it's a man-made lake then?
You know what? I don't know a whole lot about it.
If it's got underwater bridges, then it's a man-made lake. But...
It's got to be flooded. There's a lot of probably some type of reservoir. I don't know, but I don't get up there too often because I got to pass like 7 also really good fishing lakes to get up there, and I never really get around to it. But
the other challenge is state laws and regulations and things like that. That's why we don't want to even touch California.
Government. Oh my gosh, I work for a nonprofit who's rooted in California.
Yep. I'd rather pull teeth out of a gator than try to work with California. I mean,
I was on Gunnersville, and my buddy's like, "Bro, I just saw a gator." I was like, "No gators in Gunnersville," and he sent me the photo. I was like, "Okay, there's gators in Gunnersville." Holy crap!
Yeah,
a big one.
Somebody here got a picture of a big one here on Lake Fork.
They give any issues?
No, we're not on their menu.
That's good. This thing was huge. And I was not expecting it.
I,
So I
I've
wasn't
got
thinking.
I got one down at Lake Arbuckle in Florida when we were down there for the Kissimmee event. I got a video of one that was longer than my 13-foot kayak.
Dang.
Yeah,
That is
and it was
crazy.
real close to me. It did not want me there. It was growling and hissing at me.
Yeah, some of them are a little protective.
They just don't want you near them, and it's not they're going to attack you and try to eat you. They just don't want you there, and they'll let you know.
And the thing about kayaks is they're so quiet. So if they're sitting on a bank and you're just strolling by, not paying attention to the bank, and they shoot out into the water, oh my gosh!
Oh, I love sneaking up on them and scaring them.
Well, yeah, when you see them there, that's fine. But when you don't see them and you're just like looking the other way and they shoot in the water like a cow jumping into a pool, man, holy smokes!
Yeah, I'll sneak up and get really slow and close to them, and then I go, ah! And they go, whoa.
See, that's the video, Gene. That's the video. You need a compilation of gator scares. I'm telling you, if you want to get over 500,000, that's how you do it. Gator scares.
Oh man.
Oh, I love it. All right, we're gonna land this plane here. If you have any more questions for Gene, this is last call for Gene while we got him. We got to get him out of his truck. And
I apologize. We've been all over the place on this one, but it was.
This is good. So if you have a question, throw it in the comments. And I love, Gene, last time you were on, after the show, we talked for a second. You're like, hey man, I enjoyed myself. Put me in the rotation. It's like,
yeah, I want to be in the rotation.
You're in it. You're in it now. So
that's good.
I'm excited.
I got Starlink sitting right outside outside.
Look at you, high speed, better than Darren's.
So we're gonna end on that. Tell us. We talked a little bit last time, but I actually looked into Starlink recently, and it was all kinds of interesting. So I was thinking, I was paying way too much for internet, and I was like, wait, isn't there satellites in the sky where they want to like provide internet for everyone? And that's like Starlink. And then I was like, oh, I know Gene does Starlink because he does work and everything from his kayak while he's fishing for 35 hours straight. And so why? I mean, most people don't have Starlink internet, but you do. Walk us through. I know we talked a little bit last time, but is it because you just need to multitask and you want to be fishing while you do it?
I want to live stream from my kayak no matter where I'm at. And my home lake that I fish the most has no cell signal at all. And so I want to be able to live stream from there. And many of you guys, if you've watched Tactical Bass and they've got a lake that they go to every once in a while, that's my home lake. It's 10 minutes from my house. And those jacklegs never call me. They have my phone number and they never call me and say they're coming. They just slide in and slide out. But
you ever catch them out there?
I haven't, but my buddies have. So funny story. My buddy works at the power plant that's at these lakes.
Okay.
And the gate to get into the power plant has a speaker system because it's a locked gate, it's a gated thing. Well, my buddy Clint was working the gate from the power plant, which is a half a mile away.
Okay.
And Matt is on his boat right next to the thing, and all of a sudden he hears the intro for Tactical Bassin coming from the speaker.
That's funny.
And that's my buddy Clint. Oh man. He was like, what the?
That's wild. Oh, it's funny. So do you ever fish with those guys?
I have not. I've known Matt since like the Bass Resource Day, since way before YouTube.
Okay.
And I have so much respect for him because I told myself when YouTube was starting to take off for me, I was like, boy, if Matt Allen ever starts a YouTube channel, it is going to blow up because he's got so much knowledge, mostly California knowledge, but he's taking a lot of that and moving it in, learning a lot about the South. And I'd love to see a video of him comparing fishing from California to here. Is what I'd love to see an interview like that. But him and Tim are they're two really good dudes. They're just very California. They're really to themselves. They've been burned by other YouTubers, same group that I was talking about earlier. And and so and this is me speculating, so I could be wrong. I just don't feel like they trust other YouTubers. They just decided that they were going to be kind of like me, just kind of do it on their own. And and so I don't know any fishing YouTubers that weren't affected by all that. So, in one way or the other.
I saw a
So
comment in here from Philip. He asked how to say that river that runs through central Pennsylvania, and that is the Susquehanna River.
Just say Susky. Don't worry about all that.
That's the river. That's the river I grew up on. A town called Halifax, literally right on the river. It's my hometown.
like it. One last question for you, Dean. I'm sure. How much do you consume on YouTube? Little, moderate?
Depends on the time of the year. Wintertime, usually a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
I do a lot of Bass University is where I do most of my consumption. So my member number only has 3 digits instead of most people's 4 and 5 digits. I've been doing it a long time. Actually, I think it's only got 2 digits. It might only have 2. But anyway.
Okay. Okay. So my question to you is, who, in your opinion, should we be watching out for? Who is on the rise? Who's a content creator? Like, hey, I like this person, and it's kind of a sleeper person.
Austin Hoover.
Yeah.
Jeez. Let me think. I don't know, because you just never know. You never know who's going to all of a sudden just quit, and you don't know, especially young guys. Kendall Arnold's been around 100 years. I'm thinking of him because he just messaged me today, trying to get together for the Classic. I don't know. My biggest advice to anybody who's starting is always just be yourself and do what you love. And if you don't love it, don't do it. For me, it's not that I got burned out. I just wanted to see. And now I'm just to the point where I'm making the decision here. Got to do it soon. Whether I'm going to go YouTube full time again and not do any tournaments, or do a few YouTube and a lot of tournaments. And tournaments ain't making me no money, but.
Sure,
and it'll probably be YouTube full time because my wife is beginning to say, you might want to look and see if you can find another job. I'm like, no. Nope. Well, the thing is, the sponsors are sponsors are hard to come by right now, and they're getting a lot of promotion for free from a lot of guys, and so they don't have to pay those of us who do it for a living, and so. Which is what it is. I mean, you just got to adjust and do,
It ebbs and flows. I'm sure.
It does.
You've seen a lot.
Yep. I've seen a ton. And I'd love to start my own company, my own bait company, but I love to fish. And so I can either do one or the other.
Right.
You own a bait company, you don't get to fish anymore.
Nope. So
I have
a feeling you'd hate that.
Yeah, I'd lose my mind. I'd much rather teach people how to fish by going fishing.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So have you noticed a lot of people who've maybe started when you started? I've noticed a lot of content creation just giving up, quitting, whatever you want to call it, resigning, just not doing it anymore. It's interesting because
it's a lot of work. And the more social media outlets that come up, the more work it is, because you got to stay with the one that got you there, and then you got to keep. So like my focus right now is YouTube and TikTok.
Right.
Instagram.
I was going to ask that. Are you on TikTok, Gene?
Oh yeah, Instagram is flatlined. So TikTok is where you're making money right now. I mean, I'm at that point where it's time for me to just start worrying about, how to monetize and get all that other stuff and promote Cast King to sell them, do that sell crap, that affiliate stuff. Right, and I don't know if I want to do that on my Flukemaster deal or a totally different TikTok. I'm still trying to debate on what'll be the best for that. But TikTok is not YouTube. YouTube is not, is low promotion, high information, this kind of stuff. TikTok's going to be kind of a balance between the two, just because that's the way TikTok is.
Yeah.
And so I'm not selling out, which is kind of funny.
Well, you probably like to dance too, and TikTok's perfect.
Yeah, I'll flash and dance.
You take your shirt off, dance.
I mean, I've lost 95 pounds, so why not?
People want to see it.
Yeah, it's TikTok's just a different world, and I love TikTok lives, and that's why I've got Starlink, is so I can do TikTok lives, do YouTube lives from my kayak, where we do just Q&As all day long, and I'm out there on the water. I've got the tackle there. I can show the technique right there. We can dive into the dirty details, and you guys can, whatever they call them, stickers and all that other crap. So.
I've done a couple lives on TikTok on the water. Those are pretty cool.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. They really are. And then
Gene the Flashmaster says Colin B. Basson. Yeah, that's your new channel.
Yeah, you want to see my wife slap me in the back of the head? Oh, I've been married 25 years. I know better.
There you go. Matt Koppel said the problem is to make decent money. It's a business and not a hobby anymore. That means a lot more work, a lot more thought,
and a lot more suck. You know, it just sucks a lot more because it is a business. Because I have to worry about things I really didn't want to have to worry about. You know, so you know, and I hate. It
seems like
having
rainbows
sponsors.
and butterflies.
Yeah, I hate having sponsors. I wish I could do it on my own without having to have sponsors. You know, because I have to continually chase money. I have to continue to say where here's the contract.
Yeah, and it constantly churns, right?
Yeah,
they're constantly churning. And
why haven't you paid me in 10 months? Just do you
run into that a lot?
Yes, it's all the time. So that's the not fun part.
Sure.
But
I'm so interested in all that stuff.
Yeah.
We have to do a podcast on that sometime. I don't even know if you'd be able to talk about some of those things.
A lot of it I can't. A lot of it is because I built the one thing to remember if you ever get into this side of the industry is the fishing industry is super small. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody, and there's very few people in the industry I do not get along with. Very, very, very few. And probably less than 5. And so it's, we all love each other. Yeah.
We all want to know they are. I'm not going to even asking. That's over a campfire.
Yeah. And then you meet some of the most amazing people, and you see their skills and their talents, and you know why they're at that position in their life or in the industry because of what they do and things like that. And ICAST for me is I go get to see all my friends that I've been working with and around for 20 through 22 years, 23 years.
Right.
So yeah, it's just just remember it's just small. So don't burn bridges. And you'll be around for a long time. And don't be fake.
Yep.
Them old men can see fake from a mile away.
Love it. All right. Well, guys, we're coming up hour 40. Gene, always appreciate you. We're gonna get you a rotation. Maybe once a quarter, bring you on, see what the latest and greatest Gene Jensen is. I know everyone, this is a crowd pleaser. So I appreciate your time. Next week, I'm out on vacation. So the podcast host everyone actually likes better is actually going to be leading this bad boy. Seth, who are we having on next week?
We're going to have Blake Abbey on. He's a Florida angler. He's won a pretty big national event down here in Florida. There was a Hobie BOS last year. Went to a bunch of Florida events. He's going to China to fish an event here next month in April.
Oh,
so we'll talk about that a little bit.
Is he going with Cass King? Who's he going with? I was supposed to go with Cass King in April for something, and I've got too much going on.
I don't know. We'll find out. Tune in next week, Gene.
Hey, there you go.
It might Cass King. That would be freaking awesome. But I was supposed to go on that trip, and I'm like, I can't.
yeah, that's in April. Was it in April? I'm sure it's
supposed to be in April.
Yeah.
We get a TKS going on, so I can't miss that. But and the Bassmaster Classic Expo is this weekend in DFW or in Fort Worth at the fairgrounds, or what do they call them? Whatever, you guys know what it is. It's the stockyards.
Stockyard, yeah.
So,
man.
Yeah. Well, good luck, man. Good luck, Gene. I wish I were there, man. I had to turn down my bid. It sucked. We have some family stuff going on here. I really wanted to be there,
they are so ripe right now. Whenever I stop,
come on, man.
I'm gonna run
give it to him, Gene. Give it to him.
Wait, my phone's right there. I'd show you the picture. Whenever I stop to actually try to catch a fish, it's a 20 plus. It's just I only caught one fish today. I caught one fish yesterday, and the one today was 22.5 inches. And I just was like, let me just see if I can get him to react. And sure enough, and I'm just okay.
Yeah, man. I knew looking at the Elite Series last year, being around the same time of year, and it just sets up for the perfect semi-shallow jerk bait, live scope.
They're in this much water right now.
Oh, they're even they're spawning.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially, we don't know, Gene. Maybe.
Yeah.
Don't give
another trophy.
Yep, some are, some aren't. They're all over the place, but I'm talking most of them are in, less than a foot of water.
Just like what it was us for us at the knucklehead, just sitting in a foot of water. My gosh.
Yeah, it's so amazing this lake, and I'm so pissed. This whole week, I'm like, I'm at Lake Fork, and I'm not trying to catch a fish. If I catch a double digit in practice, I get
so mad.
I don't cuss. I don't cuss at other people, and I don't cuss around other people. But me on my boat by myself.
Your son is the only one that hears it.
No, he doesn't.
All the edits. All the edits.
Nope, that's why I have it on looping so he can.
There you go.
All that stuff.
Oh,
but my gosh almighty, yeah, I've been mad at myself all week. Just.
I love it. Well, Gene, thank you, and special thanks to Kayak Bass Fishing for sponsoring the show. Once again, if you're not part of it, want to get into tournament fishing, all the fun we're talking about, this is a really great way to kind of learn, cut your teeth.
Yep. Get into the challenge series for KBF.
Get in the challenge series, make your mistakes there where it doesn't cost you a bunch of money, and head over to kayakbassfishing.com, hit compete, and it'll walk you through there. But Gene, appreciate you. Seth, appreciate you leading the show next week. So everyone, have a good one, and we'll see you next Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. on the KFO show. You guys have a good one.
See you.